they earn respect. That's right, baby, baby. We on and popping. Happy New Year to everybody in the place to be. I'm waiting for my partner in crime. He should be coming on soon, but it's all good. In the meantime, let me just kind of go over a little bit of what's happening in the world of sports and in entertainment. The NBA is hot, man. You don't know who's gonna win. Who would have thought that the Phoenix Suns would be blazing it at 5-1 or 5-2? You got the Orlando Magic tearing it up. I mean, it's mad unpredictable. Football wise, we got the New York Giants. My Giants are not happy. I'm not happy because the Philadelphia Eagles just, I don't care what Coach Peterson said, he just gave up the game. For what reason? To get those draft picks. I'm very mad at that. But I'm also mad at my Giants because you know what? We should have never put ourselves in that predicament where we're going to have to rely on somebody else to make our dreams come true. So, it's deplorable to say the least, but it's all good. I mean, we made a decent run. So next year, like we said last year, we got to do it again. In the world of music, let me tell you something, man. Right now, there's a group called Hypnosis. These guys are a publishing company, private equity publishing company that is taking over everybody's publishing. They're doing their thing. It's a partnership with Mr. Mercatus and Niles Rogers. Then they're doing their thing, scooping things up. And a couple of things that I do want to mention, because, it is a new year. We're turning over a leaf. October 31st, we lost a legend in the underground world. And our guest knows him pretty well as well. And so many people from formerly of the group KMD, Dr. Doom Ali has passed away. So condolences to his family, but we know he's with his brother kicking crazy rhymes and doing their thing. Probably bombing a couple of walls up there in heaven as well. Also, during our break, we also lost Ecstasy from Houdini, Brooklyn. I mean, they put us on the map, baby. And growing up hip hop, growing up in Brooklyn, growing up on Flatbush Avenue, me on Ocean Avenue, Prospect Park, you always had to play Houdini to get your pop locking on. You're taking your girl out, you played Houdini. I mean, these are classic memories. And, when it comes down to growing up with the soundtrack of your life, it's really hard to see some of our legends go away. But look who just came in the door, baby. Mr. Career crossover, Mr. Kevin Carr. What it do, baby?
What's up, my brother? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too as well. And man, so I was covering how the NBA, man. I mean, you don't know who's gonna win every single night because there's a little bit of parity in the NBA this year.
It is, they said COVID is the equalizer, so it's trickling down. It's trickling into basketball and the capacity to compete every night. No, man, shout out to Steph Curry, 62 points. The chef is cooking for real. He is back with a vengeance. We want to continue to see him prosper. The other thing that the NBA just announced was their capacity to expand. I don't know if you've heard that. Wojo just announced potentially there are 3 families of teams maybe on the horizon. Can you guess? Can you guess? Throw one out, man. I want to know if you know something out there.
We definitely know Seattle.
Okay, you're on point. On point. And by the way, I forgot to welcome you, my man, 50 Grant, all the way from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn's in the house.
No
No
doubt. Joel
doubt.
Sylvain, welcome, brother. Welcome. I had to give props to Brooklyn. We always got to give shout out to Brooklyn.
No doubt.
Um, and then the other two,
Las Vegas.
what's new is Vegas in the house. My good friend Duncan Niederauer, his group proved that pro sports can sustain itself being the owner of the Golden Knights, who went all the way to the cup in their first year. So
That's
shout
right.
out to Duncan, who's in Italy with his new
Mm-hmm.
soccer team. So shout out to Duncan twice time over. He's balling out of control with two teams. And then the new spot, can you guess? Can you guess? It's old, but new again. Can you? The
Ooh.
third spot that the NBA could possibly look at? Hmm.
Old
Who
but
who
new Vancouver.
yes, my man. Very good, very good.
Once you said old spot, you know me, my basketball, bro.
Yeah, your IQ is good. I gotta give it to you. You're right on point. But no, also let's shift good gears to football. We saw, if you guys didn't know, just in the midst before I was watching, so it was a little bit late on that. Alabama Crimson Tide wide receiver Devontae Smith wins the Heisman Trophy after a 3-day decade drought of wide receivers failing to win the Heisman. He's got it. It's now going back to Tuscaloosa. Congratulations, Mr. Smith. You have done a superb job. And shout out to the Slim brothers. I mean, he don't have a whole lot yet on him, but man, he's like lightning out there and got
Yeah,
hands like stick 'em on him. I mean, he's doing it big time. So shout out to them. But we're happy to see success, even in the midst of a football season that even looked a little topsy turvy. There's some good news.
yeah. These, I mean, and these orange, these bowls were something else. I hated to see my team North Carolina lose, but
Mm-hmm.
at least we made it to a bowl, so
Yeah.
happy about that. And I think that's pretty much it that I can think of in the world of sports and news. I mean, there's so much going on; it's hard to
Well,
keep up, man.
one more. This is one now to all you New York fans, Bills. We gotta give some props to the Bills. They are in the playoffs, so
That's right.
that's
I did
good
forget
news.
about the Bills.
The Bills now, we gotta give them props that they. It's been a long time. Those people up there, up in the Rochester area, all that y'all been suffering for a minute, Buffalo. So we're gonna recognize you all the way down here in Florida. You have done a tremendous job bringing football back. It's a long time overdue. And for our own Bucks, Brady is working down here. He is going to work, and we are back in the playoffs. We back. We back. We back.
Yeah,
So,
what's interesting, and we'll end on this note: the fact
please,
that
yeah.
Brady made it to the playoffs and Belichick did not. What is that saying? What is
Ooh,
that saying?
why you had to rub it in like that? That's what that's saying. Oh my
I,
goodness.
I, I had to go there, man. I
You
had
went
to
there.
go there.
That I wasn't me, Belichick. That was. I got your back though, man. Yeah, Brady is quite impressive that he can do it in two different spots in short order. He's brought a lot to the city in a quick amount of time. They got to be consistent and hopefully make it all the way to the bowl. We'll see. And it's in our backyard. So we just roll out of the house and go down there, grab two seats, right?
To grab two seats, we in there like swimwear, and with that being said, let's introduce our
Please.
infamous guest, my man. We go way back 20 plus years. This is a music production executive, recording artist, and he's another type of triple threat. He's a hip hop triple threat because he can produce, write a song, and perform all at the same time. He's initiated the music careers of his mentee Jay-Z. He's helped out my boy Irv Gotti. Irv Gotti and I grew up together in Queens. Jada Kiss, Styles P, and the Chic, which is the Locks. Many more. He's produced for Latifah, Cool G Rap, uh, Diddy, Rakim, MOP, Foxy Brown. He had the hit single "Ain't No Player." It was the other word, but right? He's also been the first hip hop artist signed to EMI Records with a large record deal. I'm telling you, back in the days, cats was getting like 20,000, 30,000, and they were happy for a hip hop record deal. This brother walked away with a 6-figure deal. Mm. And he was featured on Jay-Z's Bring It On. Like I said, Ain't No Player. And Player Who, it's another word, but I can't say it on the air.
Don't say it.
And now he's a record label executive. He got his own record label called Kings County Media Group. I was born in Kings County Hospital, you know, and recently inked a distribution deal with Equity Distro, which is a partnership with him and his mentee Jigga Jay-Z. And last year, before this COVID thing was going down, he was already going on tour with Eric B and Rakim, baby, doing their thing, getting that money and sharing the knowledge. And I just got to share one last thing about this brother right here. Yeah, he's a triple threat. Yeah, he's done his thing. He sold some records, platinum records, but you know what he really is? He's a master teacher. And today he's going to be teaching us what it do to make it in the treacherous music industry. So let's bring on to the show Mr. Jaz-O in the place to be, Brooklyn, Marcy.
Yo, yo.
What it do, baby?
I'm chilling. I don't know if y'all can see me or not.
No, you turn the camera off. You're getting right back there, I guess.
You got the makeup going. You got the makeup going, baby.
Turn that video on if you can. If not, we could.
Yeah, stop. And let's see where we at now.
There it is.
All right, we in it.
We in it, baby. We in it, baby.
I had to check, see how I look. You know what I'm saying?
Looking good, son. Looking good, son.
Appreciate you. Back at you. You know what I'm saying? We ain't finished yet.
That's right.
Finished yet. So yeah, so what's good, y'all?
Man, we doing well. Oh, you know, I do need to drop a little hint. One of your clients, which is now who's going to be my dentist, Brian, has that partnership with you. What's Brian's last name again?
Ligon.
Brian Ligon.
No doubt.
Brian Ligon got a partnership with Kings County, but we'll jump in that a little bit later.
Okay.
But welcome to the show. And how you doing? How's your family doing with this pandemic and everything?
Oh man, I'm good. And the family, you know, everybody's coping. You know what I'm saying? You know, just being wary and taking precautions. You know, same precautions that most of us have taken, you know, most of our lives. We've been taught that, you know what I'm saying, wash your hands when you come in the crib and, you know, stay hygienically correct. I mean, what else is there to do? You know, that's safety, you know, safety 101. So,
that's right.
You know, yeah, but everybody's good, man. I appreciate the sentiment and hopefully well wishes definitely to you guys' families and hoping that everybody is good and staying healthy. You know, that's the thing, you know. Do a couple of jumping jacks, drink a lot of water and tea.
That's right.
Yes, indeed.
And stay mentally strong too, because that's really part of this too. Just making sure you stay strong mentally as we all are, you know, dealing with what we're dealing with in these troubled times. So yeah, stay up for sure. Hey, we're gonna jump into the money segment. You know, we got to talk about the paper. So what is your take on how money is made in the music business and how should you go about it if you're trying to get into the game the right way?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like Rome, what they say about Rome, like all paths and all roads lead to Rome, you know, which was a saying for a time. And it's the same way. There are many modus operandi to the bag, so to speak, as far as music and entertainment is concerned. It has it's been modified and changed, you know, due to the transition into, digital distribution, which, we know technically is not distribution, because distribution is the movement of physical manufactured products, and digital actually, of course, is not. But, we call it digital distro all the same. The game has changed, the way you market, the speed in which you can present an artist, a brand, and product. So it's changed a lot in that aspect. We were trying to sell CDs, and if you wanted to have your own distribution, you had to have some trucks. So so as opposed to nowadays, a couple of clicks on a computer, put your credit card, the debit card info in the mix, and you up and running.
Well, cool. Well, we gonna get ready to get on break, but as we go on break, we wanna play a little radio edit of Marcy, baby. Go ahead.
The name of the song, I know it looks crazy, but it's Marcy, and C is SEEY is WHY. It, of course, it's a double entendre, but yeah, let's get into Marcy, Jaz-O, the warm up. Let's go. You see it?
We see it, baby. We see it.
Very good.
Go ahead, producer. Marseey, baby. Let's go.
Let's go.
And pay some bills.
Mama took me to you right away. I took to you. Show me love before I even knew what it was. A perfect fit, you and I, to this very day. And anybody else around you felt the same way. The first summer we parted, it wasn't my choice. I was broken hearted. I was so young then, didn't realize it was just an annual trend. I was so happy to see you again. Friday night shrimp fry party on the 6th floor, 644, not a single locked door. More than fair weather, friends in love together. My family thought you were blocking my future endeavors. Looking through the window, watching all our war. The next day out, screaming about what we saw. Through it all, I could never ignore. It was you that I so adored. I love you. Mama took me to you right away. I took to you. Show me love before I even knew what it was. We grew up together, so corrupt together. Yelling your name in my rhymes, we blew up together. So social without being vocal. Even to them nondescripts acting like they know you. Johnny B turned jazz master. A youngin' with the gift of gab and lyrically faster. Me and Ron ran amok with the CeeLo and Chuck-a-Luck. Then off the Uncle Mango's crib and Red Hook. Styling at them house parties. Overzealous, brought it back to the center so you wouldn't get jealous. Stevie Steve, live forever, Master C, Dr. D, KG, Busy E, rockin' rhymes, breaking beats, still in them streets. But you were always home, no matter how far I would roam. I come back, we side when comrades caught them football numbers. We cried and you would comfort every one of us. I was there, you embraced Kev Webb in his last minutes. You let them alkies in your living room drinking in it. Dice games turn stick-ups, 1,000 witness. Protected many when indulging in that lousy business. Respected worldwide, some you got scared shitless. Some of your folks hard to go, some are straight shiftless. Regardless how this all plays out, till the end is me and you, my love. Mama took me to you right away, I took to you.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all gotta see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan.
Separated.
We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
Idea how to find each other.
The whole experience was fine.
the most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Message.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
We back with the famous Jaz-O, the originator, one of Brooklyn's finest. You know it.
Yes.
That's what it do.
Marcy forever.
Marcy forever. So, speaking of Marcy forever, man, you know, like I said, I classify you as a master teacher. The beautiful thing about hip hop is the fact that we always paid homage to other greats in music and being storytellers. And you are one of the greatest storytellers and the person that really encapsulated hip hop, because you can produce, you can also write the song and tell a story in such a way that people can feel that they're in a movie, and at the same time you pay homage. Perfect example is the Ain't No Player joint, where you used our people's EPMD, It's Your Thing. What made you do that, number one? What was it like paying for the sample? Because that's the business side. And the third piece is, how was it like getting that check when that song blew up?
Yeah, all of it was a meaningful, it comprised to be a meaningful experience. But we sort of tripped into that whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so the idea to do what was it, to sample 7 Minutes of Funk by the Whole Darn Family, Jay-Z had the concept. So he had gone to a couple of other renowned producers whose names I'm not going to mention, and he didn't get the expected result. So he came to me. He said, "Yo, I know if anybody could do it, you could pull it off." And to make a long story a little shorter, I pulled it off because I didn't put any actual drums on it. I just chopped it to pieces into about 5-6 pieces. And I just freehanded it on the MPC. And we had 2-inch, we were recording on 2-inch reels at the time. So I just did it bump, 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 for about 5 minutes. And that was it. D&D Studios, legendary D&D Studios. We were in Studio C, which was a new room. Same night I was in there, Foxy came in, scripted her verse on the inside of a Sugar Hill Records 12-inch. Yeah, those are the days. So then, with the sample, first off, ain't no, I don't know what y'all can say on here, not,
Ain't no player. Just say ain't no player.
I don't.
I know, bro. I know, but we on the internet radio, and I ain't trying to pay that bill.
Ninja like that. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no ninja. And anyway, so that was one of those B-side phenomena. I had spoken about it on my little IG live, shameless plug, Settle Back Saturdays. And we were talking about it, how, a lot of B-side, because they were A-side, B-side, of course, because with the vinyl at that time, and, so, and even cassettes back then. So the B-side phenomena is like, the A-side is, this is the single, this is the song that all the record that the record company is pushing, and so on and so forth. And then that B-side just creep up, and bam, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And the one I made note of was like Sucker MCs. Sucker MCs, Run DMC. That was the B-side for It's Like That.
It's Like That.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And in the same sense, Ain't No Ninja was the B-side for Dead Presidents, if I'm correct. It was a long time ago. Well, let me have a Geritol moment on this piece. But nah, you know, so but all the same, it was a B-side. So nobody really, in all honesty, we expected it to be like a street, you know, street banger, street favorite, you know, mixed radio favorite. Nobody expected it to do what it actually did. And so when that happened, you know, uh, the publishers of the song and the writers of the song came out the woodwork, was like, hey, what y'all doing? Because we were in that time. There was a pivotal time where a lot of people were still getting away with sampling, you know, well-known, you know, from well-known songs and getting away with it, you know. Right. And it wasn't our intention per se to do something and just get away with it, but at some point somebody was just trying to get away with it, but we didn't. But we still, you know, we still made a lot of waves, and that song in itself, the publishing and everything else that was shared, you know, wasn't the significance of the revenue made from that song. The significant revenue that was made from that song was the outcome due to the popularity of the song, due to basically, for the most part, and I gotta pat myself on the back and pat Jay-Z on the back as well, that song put him on the map.
No doubt.
Hey, but you know, he had a buzz, but you know, it was a fly buzz. You know, this was a blackjack, yellow jack buzz after Ain't No Ninja. So
and this actually
for me as a producer.
And this actually allowed Jay to get that big deal with Def Jam, which also allowed Irv Gotti to get his position at Def Jam as well.
Yes, definitely. And truth be told, Irv Gotti was the main cog or the connect with that whole situation. You know, he was ringing the alarm and tooting the trumpet about Jay-Z up there, you know, for a little while. You know, Irv Gotti is a great talker.
and very passionate. And very passionate.
That's a serious compliment.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you, he had me teaching him how to use the MPC 60 on the phone. You know, of course, he and Jay-Z and myself, you know, when I got my deal with EMI, we were in London together for like 2 months. He's a great talker. Like I went up to Def Jam one time, and I think they had just moved into a new office, and he had this little desk outside of one of the A&R's offices. And I was like, you know, I didn't ask him what he was doing, you know, because my whole philosophy, you know, 2 ears, 1 mouth, you know, listen twice as much as you speak is very, you know, productive. But he was like, yeah, you know, I've been up here, you know, and I've been chopping it up with Leon. So the next time I saw him, he was in an office. I was like, wow. So that's I ain't gonna stay on Irv like that, but Irv is a great talker. And when I say that, I'm not saying that to be funny. I'm saying he's a great talker, meaning that he will convince you and motivate you and have you in his world for that moment to let you know, like, look, these are my plans. This is what can happen, and convince you. like, yeah, this can happen.
So you saying he got the power of persuasion and the
That's right.
ability
That's
to
right.
sell people
That's right.
into
The
his
Jedi mind
dream.
trick without the trick.
Yeah,
Well,
love it.
we got about 1 minute before we go on break
Right.
again, because you dropping some jewels. But when we come back from the break, Kevin's going to ask you some power questions and how you've created your influence. Because just the same way that Gotti has his major influence, you got that subliminal, quiet mind trick. So once again, this is Power Moves on In Touch Radio, reality radio, where everyone is a star. We gonna go into the commercial with one of the next singles off the warm up, which is High.
Kings County.
The Storks are bringing me a baby brother. We can do this together.
All right, let's go.
Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What?
Oh my gosh, you don't know.
I know.
You don't. Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No.
Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this.
You will rock this.
To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
Cool. Very cool.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan.
Separated.
We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
Idea how to find each other.
The whole experience was
the
fine.
most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Message.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
It's a beautiful day.
This is Daryl Johnson
and Tampa Bay Tammy.
Wishing all our listeners all over the world
happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you.
From In Touch News
and Radio.
All right, we back. This is Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. We on that power segment, and we got my partner in crime, Kevin Carr, with Pro the CEO, and he has his mantra, which is champions, which stands for the 9 medallions, and the C in champion is confidence. And with this power segment, my man right here, he speaks slow, but he has a big stick. We're gonna talk about the power and the influence that Jaz-O has had in the music industry and how he's made his power moves. Go ahead, Kev. Oh, I think Kevin's still on the commercial break. DJ Anna. Well, you know what? In the meantime, let me jump on this while Kevin comes on back. But speaking of which, how did you land that lucrative EMI deal, my dude?
Oh man, as much as some people want to take so much credit for their position or station in life, I gotta say, it was done by committee. I was rhyming, making songs, making freestyles and stuff like that in a time where that was just as popular and prevalent as making a record and getting a deal. So there's a gentleman named Fresh Gordon, who you may be familiar with, did some Fat Boy stuff. He produced a lot of and programs for a lot of groups, known and unknown. Long story short, a gentleman named Marlon Prescott heard some of the stuff that we were doing, and he said that he knew some people. I don't know how interested Gordon was, but I was at least interested enough to say, like, okay, well, let them hear what we got. So he ended up setting up meetings, and then introduced me to a guy named Stan Poses, who later on became my business manager, and we went from there. Like I've had situations that took longer than that in the future. Like that was a 4-month situation. Like 4 months, between 4 months, we had the contract, going back and forth, renegotiating, take this out, put this in. 4 months, 4 months, and I was on my way to London, England, to record an album. No, and I know why they wanted to go out there. So I was working with some producers in which I didn't really need, but we went out there and worked with a gentleman named Brian Chuck New, who was known for producing some Cool Mo D stuff, like How You Like Me Now, so on and so forth. So that was the situation. I didn't do all I did was do what I was doing anyway, doing music, needed a lawyer. Figure I wanted the cream of the crop. A gentleman named Kendall Mentor was my attorney who negotiated. Yeah.
Jamaican. He's a Jamaican man.
Most definitely. Negotiated my EMI deal. Shout out to Kendall Mentor. And it was up and running. Me, Jay-Z, Irv Gotti, my manager and one of his partners. We were out on our way to London, England.
Now Irv was your DJ at the time, right?
Yeah and no. Irv was like, we had just met Irv. And the situation with that was my DJ at the time, or who I considered my DJ at the time, he didn't want to get on that plane. He didn't want to. I don't know if it was the plane or he just didn't want to leave the hood. But I offered it to him. And I was like, yo, this is my deal. This is, the stuff that he and I, had spoken on so many times. And it was go time. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It was go time. And I don't knock him. I don't blame him for his decision. That's his decision. That's his life. And, this is mine. So, I let my management know the situation, and they found somebody, and who they found was Irv. They found Irv. We all hit it off, and it was a wrap. We was in London. I had this flat, and I don't know what part of London that was, but it was pretty upscale. And I was there for 2 months. We would go to the Y in the morning before the studio, be in the studio for like 12 hours. And I think I took like 1 day off. That was like either Saturday or Sunday or something. And that was it. It was, it was good money.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Kev. What you got for him?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, this is the power segment. So in Brooklyn, I'm gonna get a little more in terms of what was going on in the time in Brooklyn during the crack era. It was a do or die, I would say Bed-Stuy for real, right? So what did you do to develop your confidence and power during that challenging time for a lot of people?
Because you got to keep your head on the swivel back then.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So my confidence as far as my craft, that wasn't the issue. The confidence that had to be maintained was my rapport in the street, who's who, and to continue to play a high level of chess while some cats are playing a lower level of chess and some people just playing checkers. So it was more of a situation like, you're dabbling, you're in between two different worlds, and you have to make a decision. You have to say, like, look, because you can't, I don't care what anybody says, you can't do both. You've seen the stories of cats who try to do both and it doesn't end up well, so I had to make a decision. And my decision was, let me do this music and understand that it's also a music business. And fortunately, I was surrounded by individuals who had, the better intention, and I'm talking about business wise. I'm talking about the A&R at the time, the A&R that was there when I actually got signed, a gentleman named Dwayne Alexander. Actually, he came after um, the individual who was actually there when I got signed, the A&R. His name is Scott Folks. So anybody who knows the history, y'all know some of these names. But anyway, that was the main thing, just staying out the way. Of course, when we came back from London, I guess it was maybe like a week or two after, maybe like a week and a half after New Year's, and for the most part, like I was already packing my stuff. I didn't think it that way. I was packing because I mean, it's just a smart move. It wasn't fear. I could have stayed there and, whatever the case, but it wasn't smart because, like I said, I didn't, for what people look at as having a bag now, it would be considered chump change due to the fantasies of a lot of people, because mainstream media, is telling the public, some people who make maybe like $25,000 a year that, 250,000, 275,000 ain't no bread, you know. So they're warped into that whole thing, everybody is on this road to the riches, to make millions and millions of dollars. And there's nothing wrong with that, but to feel yourself as insignificant until you're up there, so to speak, is ridiculous. But yeah, so I came home with a bag. You know what I'm saying? I had a big recording budget. Me, Jay, and her, we was buying stuff. Came home with money and converted it back to U.S. dollars, and my budget was still open. It was a beautiful time. So unfortunately, I wasn't as wise, because I'm gonna keep it a buck. I wasn't as aware of CDs, IRAs, and things of that nature, bonds, you know, other things that I won't talk about on the private side of banking right now. But it was a learning experience and it brought me to this point today. So I appreciate it and I love the journey. So
yo, Jaz-O, can you, and I want to give a big shout out because there was a great interview you did with Nori and DJ at EFN, because I love Drink Champs. Love them boys. And
shout out to Drink Champs.
Shout out to them. And we got about a minute and a half. What was, because you and Jay are like freaking frack. So what were you teaching him? How did you impart confidence into him from a mentor to a mentee perspective, or big brother to little brother perspective? What were you feeding into him constantly?
Well, the first thing was friendship and camaraderie. And I didn't say it per se, but you know, I I openly
You modeled it.
performed the yeah. So um to me, that's the foundation of all relationships, be it business or personal. Secondly, I think that business and personal is the same thing. Someone does you right in business, that's a personal that's a that's a personal gift. You know, when someone does you dirty in business, is personal dirt. You know, there's no good. So I don't see why, like they say, the separation of church and state. You know, all of it is the same. Depends on who's writing it. Depends on how it's being pursued. But with he and I, that was the foundation, and from there, um, his confidence as a lyricist was already there because he heard just like myself, like he heard himself, he can hear, and he heard what was going on around him, and he heard not being delusional. He heard that his skill set was far beyond the people he was around, and not I don't mean just directly around, like everything that he was exposed to. And what I taught him was things that he was in the process of learning in school anyway, which was like poetic license, how with 4/4 beats, which was the prevalent, time signature with the boom bap and everything else, that you would have, bars, and the bars, for like a common poetic, a common writing format in poetry, is the 4-bar stanzas. So I taught him in reference to that, to keep it this way and count your bars. You don't want your song to be, when we started writing songs, you don't want your song to be too long. We didn't want our routine to be too long, because when we first started writing together, we were writing routines. So he was sort of like chaos, because he had a lot of the things to say, and then I had the way of like, okay, and I had the things to say as well, but I was like, let's put it this way, let's capsulate it, let's put it in a way where when we come with the next line, it's gonna fit, or we don't do a routine. Like if you write your part and then I come in, I want to come in to whereas we're just one person, stuff, just stuff like that. And I try to teach him using, how to use the drum machine and stuff like that, but he wasn't really interested in that. He wasn't. And I could dig it.
That's right. That's right. Well, listen, we're gonna go on this last break. After the break, we're gonna end off with the respect segment. We're gonna bring in a guest that has his own. He's an entrepreneur. He left corporate America. He's gonna do a recap of what he took away from this interview. So once again, this is Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. We chilling with the infamous, the originator Jaz-O. And go buy that album, The Warm Up. It is streaming on all different platforms, The Warm Up. And here's the song, High, off The Warm Up. Let's go, DJ Anna.
Looking at me, got me falling in love from. If you ever had the feeling, don't be shy, raise your hands up. I'm in the club with my hands up, she got me hands down. She set her expectations. Nursing school, make the grades to get a certification. She said tuitions, but it ain't high enough to alter her decision. She said she don't get But she be taking back Shirley's with a few of her girlies. Got my mind on my money, but my heart on honey. Got a heart on honey, going hard on honey in a G5 a few miles. Oh, we drove out to Teterboro, explained she got a car but complained that gas so. And she hated taking the train, plus it started to rain. Told me her favorite things and maintenance she ain't. Said she good but a saint she ain't. And the cards in the air quite rare when the king and the queen make a pay. I never thought I'd fall in love from a simple, you know my name, tell me yours, let me get to know you. I get just looking at you, looking at me, got me falling in love from. If you ever had the feeling, don't be shy, raise your hands up. She in the club with her hands up, I got her hands down. From a simple, you know my name, tell me yours, let me get to know you. I get just looking at you, looking at me, got me falling in love from. If you ever had the feeling, don't be shy, raise your hands up. I'm in the club with my hands up, she got me hands down.
Call in and tell a friend to listen in. Listen up. It's In Touch Radio, reality radio.
We're playing your favorite old school. Today's R&B. With a smooth touch of jazz. You're listening to In Touch Radio.
All right, we back. Power moves on In Touch Radio, reality radio, where everyone is a star, featuring Jaz-O and my partner in crime, Mr. Kevin Carr, formerly executive of the NBA, but he got his own company called Pro, the CEO, Mr. Career Crossover. Speaking of career crossover, what you got for my man Jaz-O with the respect line?
Man, there's so much knowledge going on here. We really appreciate you coming with it. But, you know, in life, there can be family disputes and at times disrespect, right? You and Jay went through it, and now you're back together. What are the steps, you know, in reconciliation and life and business? Can you teach us, our listeners, on how to squash disagreement or, you know, just straight what they would say in the street, beef?
Yeah. So first of all, I want to put on record that according to like the definition of what they call beef, between that and the context under which I put beef, because to me, beef is being somewhere in the hood and you behind a thin tree and you only got 3 more joints in the clip and somebody busting at you. That's beef, you know. So it wasn't that, so I can't fairly consider that beef. What we found way before anybody saw any picture of he and I together or any talks of anything was that it was a mix-up, it was a misunderstanding. So both of us being sort of non-confrontational, you know, I don't know how that sounds, but it's the truth. I mean, you know, I'm sort of non-confrontational. Am I honest? Yeah. Will I bring it to you? For sure. But, you know, I like to take the path of least resistance. And he's the same way in that aspect. And so what happened was, you know, things were said, maybe on records, you know, maybe it was a poke. You know, a lot of times you got those people that are around, you know, that tend to say things and, you know, you can't go directly to the source. So I'm coming to the point of saying that the best way to resolve these type of things is the getting rid, not totally getting rid of, but just putting a pause on your ego. You know, because the first thing that comes up with disagreements, like, you know, you looking at, well, how's somebody gonna look at me if I respond this way? You know, you shouldn't be worried about that. You should be concerned with how you look to yourself, how you feel about yourself, and what you can do to create the most positive outcome for yourself as well as anybody who is involved. You know, we've seen it all before. We've seen the ego bring it to the point where the guns come out. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
We don't want that. And what is it always? It's the same vicious cycle. You know, and then after somebody's laid down, you know, everybody's sad. Oh, you know, it didn't have to happen like that. Yeah, it didn't have to happen like that. If the right person would just shut up, you know, handle it in a certain way, not be forceful. Like if somebody raises up on you, you don't fight fire with fire. You fight fire with water. You know what I'm saying? So somebody come bring it to you, you can defend yourself without being looking as if you're afraid or that you're backing down. You know what I'm saying? Because it all comes out in your body language. It all comes out in your tone, you know, which reflects the spiritual significance of what's coming out your mouth. You know, the verbs and the actual words are one thing, but the tonation is another thing altogether. So that's important, to douse your ego and sincerely address the situation to arrive at the conclusion that you desire. So if you mean well, just speak well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
This
you
is
know,
true.
Here and now we said things back and forth, but you know, like I can only speak for myself when I say something. That everything I said, like I never said anything, you know, like going about his family or because it didn't have nothing to do with them. So I think like again, I play chess. So, you know, I just pointed out certain things and certain things that would make a point, and people who are enlightened to a point would see and understand, but that wasn't important. What was important to me was that the people who were around him, who would go into his ear, would hear and they say, oh, he said that? It's like, wow. You know what I'm saying? So then I think what happened was like, wow, a lot of the things that some people were telling me, it must not be true, because when I listen what actually came out his mouth, he's saying something totally different. Whether he's saying it for a reason or not, the tonation and the circumstance determines and depicts that I'm saying it in goodwill and sincerity, you know, and integrity. And that's what's important. You know, if you want to be
That's
all,
good.
you know, everybody want to be tough. You know, we all want to be tough guys. You know, and I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm a tough guy. You know what I'm saying? I don't go outside to fight nobody. I don't go outside to bust guns or none of that. But I'm a tough guy. You know what I'm saying? Because I endured a lot and I can give a lot. But that doesn't mean that you go around doing it. Like that's not my focus in life. My focus in life is the prosperity and peace of my family, even my surrounded family and my, you know, and all the people that I love. Because I practically love everybody. I love y'all. I don't really, you know, I
Appreciate
don't
that.
be around y'all, nothing like
We
that,
love
but I
you
love
too,
y'all.
man.
That's just a
Thanks for
natural
coming
thing for
through.
me.
It's called Brooklyn Love, baby. Brooklyn Love,
That's right,
man. But
spread love is
you know how
Brooklyn,
we do.
That's
Don't
it.
start none, don't be none.
Right.
And
Exactly. So
we won't start it, but we will sure finish. So
yeah.
on that note, Brian, we got Brian Hubert, a former employee of a major company, and he decided, I'm out. I'm going to pursue this music thing by selling his beautiful guitars that he's created. So tell us a little bit about your business, and can you give us a recap of what you got out of our interview today?
Definitely, and thank you for bringing me in as well. I really appreciate it. Tons of awesome stories and information to go on. So, yeah,
are you in the studio? Is that? Oh no, that's your backyard. Okay.
I got 4 kids, 7 and under, so this is the only quiet place at the moment that I have. So they're all in bed, and that's how we're gonna keep them there, is to be out here.
That's right.
But yeah, I was in banking and insurance for 17 years, and then started building guitars as a hobby. And then I got a big deal with a bourbon distillery to build custom guitars for them and for their customers. And I was looking at the numbers and I was like, yeah, I can make a run of it. So I decided to leave corporate America and give it a go. And I think I'm a different side of the music business because you're the actual performer and you're in the studio a lot. But I think the same a lot of the comments that you said still go with me, and they can also go to any business almost. But it's self-respect, commitment, and not just work ethic, but personal ethics in general. Like you said, if someone does you right in real life, they'll probably do you real life or do you well in business. If they do you bad in business,
Exactly.
it's going to be the same. And like you were saying that you were going to the studio for 12 hours a day. Like I've been in bands in the past and I've been in the studio, and if you've never been, it sounds like it's tons of fun, but when you're in there and you have to do the same intro 30 times and it's only 15 seconds of a song, and now you got to do the whole rest of the song because you had to do that for so long. I mean, it can get tedious, and I think patience and commitment, and again that work ethic really comes in. um,
Yes.
and I think the one of the biggest things that you said was your self respect. Like you don't need to be making $20 million a year to have value. You know, you can, if you're living life and if you're able to enjoy what you have with friends and family. I mean, that's really what it's about. And you don't have to have 20 million bucks in the bank. You know, I think that's one of the biggest things, because in the music business, like you said, the media wants you to think you have to be making millions a year to be considered successful, and that's not really the case.
Right.
Good point.
So for me, and especially because that kind of hit home for me, because I mean, this was a tough year to start a business anyway, especially something like guitars, where that's I mean, you know, people don't need it. It's not it's not like how everyone needed toilet paper. You know, it's not like that. And
It's a
so
specialty item now.
exactly, and I'm doing custom stuff, so it's even more of a specialty. So I mean, I was doing great for a couple of months, and then right before Christmas, things started to slow down a little bit, and I was like, man, this is rough. And my wife is still doing her normal 9 to 5, and I'm like, this is rough, but it's luckily I have her to kind of support me and boost me up. And then it's stories like this where it's like, I don't need to be making $1 million. I'm doing what I do. I'm bringing in some money, and people are happy with what I'm doing, and I'm happy with that. My kids are happy. My kids are fed. Um, so for me personally, I think that was the biggest thing. Like, again, it's just remember to respect yourself. You know what your value is, and do right to yourself. Do right to others. I especially this year. Everyone's struggling with one thing or another. So, to me that was like the biggest takeaway. Just don't
I
forget.
appreciate that. I appreciate all of the words
No, I mean
expressed.
you have so much information to share, so it's really nice, especially like my family's own small businesses, but this is my first time, getting into anything musically like this, and it's a tough business, as you know. So it's nice to get your input and your take on how your career went and what helped you be successful.
Thank you.
Brian, can you show us show the folks your guitar? We can see it in the background. And Jaz-O, how do people do business with you? Because you can, you're looking for artists, right? Hey, Brian, man, if somebody buys a guitar and they sound good, we might have to do the hookup. So Jaz-O, man, how do people get in contact with you? Tell people about Settle Back Saturdays, the projects that you got going on, the podcast, et cetera, the quote unquote, the book that's coming out, et cetera, et cetera. Do your thing, baby. It's your time to plug.
All right, here we go. So I'm on IG on Instagram at Jaz-O KKMG. That's Jazo KKMG. And every Saturday at 9 p.m. I go on live with my little show called Settle Back Saturdays. Whereas I post a video of what I feel is a monumental song in hip hop, and usually a throwback, and usually something that I had some part in, or am a part of the story of that song. And we'll post it and put it in the story. Then at 9 p.m., I come on and I talk about it, talk about like how I mentioned, like, some backstories, to different things that, during a certain time in my music history. You can also find me at Jaz-O on Facebook, on the band page. Also on Twitter, The Real Jaz-O. That's TheRealJazo. Also, look forward to a book that is going to be a volume of numerous books, and the first of which they all are going to be called main title Universes, and it's going to be a description on a poetic level of some of my landmark verses, be it my song or as a feature. And it also gives an education about poetic license, different terms used in poetic license like automatopoeia, simile, metaphor, entendres. Um, and it also contains like a brief history on me, like a sort of a bio, and then some of the strange yet significant events that uh, that was right, right around that time, like on my way to the studio, or a call that I got. I have a pretty good memory of a lot of those things. So these are stories that I put as far as like a backstory to the actual verse. And when I text the verse, um, I use different terms in poetic license to point out certain things that maybe people didn't understand what I was saying. They may have the understanding, but didn't get the overstanding as well. So I think it's very educational. My intent is to have it infiltrate, universities, you know, as a textbook, to explain.
But we lost you, bro.
You hit the mute, unmute.
There you go. You unmute now.
Okay. Am I back?
You back now.
Okay. Yeah, I got a phone call. But yeah, so it's I want to get it into universities because I think that it's a pretty thorough analysis of poetic license. I think it will open the door to a lot of people's what they think about what a lyricist is, what a hip hop lyricist is. Um, I want to change the stereotype, with this book, and it's going to be very interesting. I'm about done, and I just really started talking about it again. So we making some moves with that.
Let's get it. Let us get it on out there on Amazon and wherever else books are sold.
That's right.
Barnes
That's right.
and
Yeah,
Noble,
because Barnes and Nobles is the only real estate that's selling books nowadays. But then, hey, we could probably sell it through Brian. So this was a great.
Yes, it was.
We might have to do a part 2 to this, or just bring you back from when you launch some of this other stuff, Jaz-O. Mm-hmm. But thank you for coming through. This is a great way to start the new year, 2021. Yep. Blessings to everybody. Big shout out to the local small business owner, Mr. Brian Hubert, with his Hubert guitars. Could you show us a little one of them guitars, please?
Say a little something. What is that one, real quick?
It's a cigar box, and it has like a helmet with a crown on it, and it's a shrouded crown. So it's an electric guitar, mostly used for blues. It's a 3-string guitar, and on the neck, if you can see it, it's laser etched. Heavy is the head.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to go along with the crown thing, and I do 3, 4, 6-string guitars, 3 kinds of ukuleles. Now I had to learn how to play ukulele because of it. But it's mostly for blues. It can be played in absolutely in any musical style. Like I sold one to a Jewish rabbi who played reggae music. That was kind of eye-opening. Kind of blew my mind a little on that, but mostly for blues, and so I actually have one in the National Blues Museum in St. Louis. One of my guitars is there. Okay. And I think I'm in 15 states now that I have guitars out and about.
All right. So what's the website? Because my producer's like, yo, we going into overtime. She's part of the union. Yo, Jaz-O, you know what it's like when you doing your show and they part of the union. They looking at you like
this.
Yeah, it's hubertguitars.com.
Yeah, they're doing.
hubertguitars.com.
Yeah, same thing on Instagram and Facebook. I'm on there too, so you can see what I'm working on.
All right, great guys. Thank you once again. This is a great show. Power Moves. We're wrapping up. Always a pleasure to work with my partner in crime, Mr. Kevin Carr of Pro to CEO.
And
Jaz-O,
well.
go follow him, and Brian Hubert with Hubert Guitars. We out. See you next week, baby.
We get.
Take care.